very proud of this one. I decided I shall wear the merch, and I shall tell you a little bit about the event that was a Lakeland 100. It's actually 105, but let's not be too picky. So this is an event that I put my name down last year. What happens is I did the 50, loved it all the way through, thought I really, really, really wanted the 100. And so much so that kind of when it came to the ballot, so the ballot is on the 1st of September, so you have only a few weeks really to kind of react and decide whether this is a challenge for you. But certainly is worth thinking. And what I found is that I felt I was better trying and failing at the 100 than going into the 50 again, which whilst I love it, I suppose I knew I could do it, so there isn't a challenge. And obviously I'm down in Surrey, so going to the Lake District is not very easy. It takes time, effort, energy, money, you name it. So I put my name down in 100. I think probably because I'm a woman, probably stand more of a chance. I know quite a lot of people are looking for a spot. Anyway, luckily I got an entry, which I'm delighted. However, the fear sets in because, of course, it is a challenging event. It's 6,500 meters of elevation, and it is an event that almost every element is of a challenge. It's, like I said, a little bit more than 100 miles. I would say the cutoffs are pretty tight for someone like me, so it tends to attract runners of all walks of life, but a lot of them are really, really good. Yeah, really good. A lot of local runners, which even though they are perhaps more my level, sort of more the back of the pack, they actually have that on their doorstep. So it's a lot of bog, weather's quite crazy. It's really good if you could recce the route, so you don't get lost. Yeah, so definitely a challenge for me. So once I knew I have the space, I really wanted to kind of do it justice, and so I got involved with a proper training plan. I shared a while back in a video how that did not work for me at all, and in fact so much so that I found myself quite I don't know, I mean, quite disheartened, and actually I cried a lot basically. I did not want to do any of that training plan. So I reverted back to where I know I'm good and strong, which is just being consistent, going every day to obviously different places, different routes. So I get the variety of it, but it's not a strict plan as perhaps you would if you were to pay a coach. And actually, the coach is great. It's not a problem, the coach. It's just that I do a lot of stuff in my day-to-day life. I have a busy day-to-day life, and physically, the times where I'm supposed to go running, that my body wants to go running, which is first thing in the morning, I have things to do, like literally taking the dog for a walk. So I try to combine stuff, but the thing is, it doesn't always work because also I have a dog that needs different things, and yeah, it's just I think the plan just did not fit with where I am. I reverted back to what I like, which is doing loads of strength, lots of yoga, and also kind of working specifically on places that resemble Lakeland. For example, where we are, there's a hill which is a part of the Vanguard's Way. Actually, is it a Vanguard's Way? I'm not sure, but it's crosses the North Downs Way. And actually, it's a hill of just over a kilometer, but in my brain, a little bit like Rocky, if I was to run it to the top, I knew down to every step of the way how things are. And so training wise was really good for me to use that space, because it was just something I can not necessarily compare, but I can see the progress and I can see when I'm lacking. I also found that I'm a little bit anemic, so sorted that out by going and getting some iron tablets. All in all, started to look into my nutrition. I figured out, for me, gels are not all that amazing. I prefer real food, but I'm actually good at eating. I'm good at nutrition. I actually can stomach pretty much anything. I do feel I need at some point warm stuff. I actually need that. And it's great when you crew, but on Lakeland, no crew. The checkpoints are doing all that for you. So I knew in my head where I need to get hot drink. I also worked out that the occasional gel with caffeine in it would really work for me as well. So I had those. I actually carried with me a fair amount of food, thinking, even though I knew what's in the aid station, they very kindly put down all the, what they have on every aid station. I sort of know that probably what I'll end up taking is a sandwich. I physically cannot carry as many sandwiches. So I kind of had a plan for nutrition, which I knew will work. I hoped it will work. When it came to gear, I run normally with Ultras. My feet are really wide, and I love my Ultra, but they are a summer trail shoe. They're quite soft, so the times where I've been in the mountains, I have truly felt the sole is not strong enough. So for the more hard terrain, I use Brooks Cascadia, which I absolutely love. They're a fantastic shoe, and I have had them for a few years and just love them. So I knew that I will go with the Cascadia. However, only a few months back, I actually reminded myself about these American shoes called Topo. Not many people know about it. Probably you do, I don't know. But a couple of years back, I met this American ultra runner, and she was in her 60s, and she was saying, I always use Topo. And so I knew of the brand, I knew what they're about, but I just kind of forgotten about it. And also, what are the chances that they have them here? And it was just a very brief encounter that my husband has seen someone saying something about him, that we Googled Topo. And basically the review said they are the width of an Ultra and the sole of Cascadia. And I was like, dream. So I hunted a pair in my size, and I actually found them for £115. Can you believe it? Because most of the time now shoes are nearly £200. So I was like, how does that happen? So perhaps my size is odd or whatever. So I bought a pair, but actually when I put them on, I fell in love with them instantly. But the coating is kind of quite plasticky, I suppose. And I thought, I wonder whether that's going to work for the Lake District. So I wasn't sure. So back in May, was it May or late April, one of my lovely bad boy running friends who lives in Shropshire said, hey, there is a really lovely event back in 10 minutes, for which I have a video, by the way. Go back into it. Amazing event, just brilliant local event, love it. And so very kind of on a whim, I end up going there, and I end up using those shoes, and I thought, they really do work. And actually this plasticky thing that you think is plastic is actually not. It's almost like a rain. Water can go through, but it has some kind of membrane or something that you don't get soaked right away. So it does keep some kind of filter. I don't know what it is, but they do feel good. So if you're going through water, which Lake District is a lot of, I knew they are the perfect shoe. So what I did is I then went back to the company that I sourced the shoes from, and I asked them to get a half a size bigger. So I bought another pair, half a size bigger, for which I thought I'll have for the half time, I suppose. And I'm so pleased I made this choice, because I think Lake District could absolutely knacker your feet if you're not in the right pair of shoes, and I saw a lot of people suffering a lot. The trench foot is a real thing. So yeah, great gear. I managed to have the leggings that unfortunately a few weeks back on one of my events managed to rip my most favorite Patagonia leggings. Again, I searched far and wide, and when I found them somewhere, not only they were extremely good value for money because there were just literally 3 left. I actually bought all 3 of them. So a little bit of an expensive kind of pre-Lakeland, but I think I will carry this kit with me for a very long time because I absolutely love it. You know, when you put a new bra or new underwear, or I don't know, just something that's nobody needs to know what you're wearing underneath, but it just makes you feel $1 million. That is how I felt being in my shoes, in my clothes, in my socks, and in my backpack. So I used Salomon backpack, which is the 12-liter, and down to the T, I knew, because of practice and practice and practice and practice, what goes where. I had every single item in sandwich Ziploc bag, and a variety of those sandwiches Ziploc bags actually, because some of them were small. So I carried 4 pairs of socks. Each bit of sock change I would put a little in fact I think I have it here with me actually. Let me see whether I can dig one of them. Yeah, so this is what I did. I basically had a Ziploc with a sandwich with a little like alcoholic wipe, and then I put some kitchen towel so I can very quickly remove the sock, clean up with the wipe, dry with that, and then I had trench cream from lovely James in Cornwall, and so I end up very quickly being able to change socks and feel fresh. My shoes were amazing, beyond amazing, because they actually have that membrane. I don't know what it is, but they do work really well. So shoe change, trench cream, and change of socks, and every marathon was an absolute savior. I said about the gear was just brilliant because what I opted for is not only leggings. A lot of people were going with shorts, but the weather in the mountain is so changeable. I grew up in the mountain, and I don't know, it's just very easy to get cold, to get hot, to get hot, to get cold, and anything in between. And I don't know whether, in that situation, when you're really trying to get moving, you have the time to be navigating even on one more thing. So what I did is I had a thin long sleeve top. I also had a couple of buffs on me, one on my arm rather, and another one around my neck, which I kept moving. And then my jacket, my raincoat, I actually kept taking off and on accordingly. And here's the thing, I have very kindly, my husband actually, just before we went to the Lake District for the race, what he did is he bought something which I think is from a company called Grange, and it's like I suppose it's recoating the raincoat. My raincoats are ancient actually now. I've used them for so many years and just a lot, but obviously once you wash them, after a while they just don't have the same. They do keep you warm, but not in the Lake District where the weather is just apocalyptic. So he put this coating. I think you need to wash it and then dry it and then spray it and then whatever else he did. I mean, that worked just a treat. And actually, I'm very grateful because I was just able to constantly change, sort of throw the jacket over my backpack, it's literally a second of throwing the coat. And then once the main part of the rain is over, I just whip it back out, shake it, and boom, back in a bag, and I'm able to run. So I think I made a really good decision in terms of just body control, body temperature control, and just keeping that body temperature regulated, it's very, very easy to get hot or cold. And then, yeah, like I said, hypothermia sets in and all sorts of stuff happens. So again, what we've planned really worked as well. Another thing that I was going to say, I carried quite a bit of, so I carried food, obviously the kit in Lakeland. When you go to registration, there is a lot of very thorough checking going on for your kids, and quite rightly so, because honestly this place is you probably will use all of it. There were people using their full waterproofs, so their trouser waterproofs. I never had to take mine. I never had to use my spare base layer and stuff like that, which super grateful for. But again, is having to constantly navigate what can you manage, how, when. And of course, those who are going faster, they will have different issues than me, who is further back, going slower, so I'm for a longer period of time en route. What was, I think, quite wonderful in terms of the setting, I suppose, is that if something was missing off your kit list or something wasn't quite right, you could get it there, you could buy it there. They've got I think it's the endurance store nearby, so they gave us a spoon or fork together. I think they call it foon. I'm not sure. So that was quite handy. They also, at kit list, they gave us the map and the little foldy. The foldy is something I've used gazillions of times, not only on the recce, but just tried to really familiarize myself with something I struggled previously to kind of navigate. So what I did is I had my GPX on my watch, and then I had the map with me handy. Then I had the little foldy with the written description, and actually there were a couple of places that I'm very grateful that I managed to look at that, because there's so much overgrown stuff. It's quite easy to miss. Also, really happy that I did the recce's, because for someone who doesn't live there, yeah, you have an open space with a lot of bog and a turn on the left. I mean, how the hell do you find where you need to go? And come race day is really difficult. Whilst if you've been there before, you know, even though actually for certain places I was surprised how I remember a lot more than I suppose I thought I did, but also I got the distances wrong in my head. For example, between the second and third aid station, I knew there's quite a bit of, you go up something called Black Cell Pass, for which everybody goes. It's a horrible place, it's very scary, it's damn right it is. But in my head, from the recce day, I was thinking, actually it's not that bad, because it had like a rock steps, someone's put rocks, it kind of felt like a rocky step. I didn't think much of it. On a race day, that section I just carried on and on and on and on, and it was actually quite, I don't know, it was probably one of the hardest sections of the whole race. It was also coincided with crazy rain and absolutely hammering it the Lakeland only can. And yeah, I think also around Mardale Head, again, I thought there is a tarn and I'm just going to descend down, and then in between the ferns, soon enough, I'm going to reach the aid station. I must have been in my own world, because on race day, that section again, I mean, it was probably, I would say 6-7K, maybe even more, certainly about 5 miles. I would say 5 miles from just you descending to get to the aid station. And yet in my head that was probably, I don't know, half a kilometer. So yeah, these are the things that I suppose very much depends how well you know the place. Anyway, what else about the race? The race is actually it's been going on for quite a few years, and it's run by a guy called Mark, and another guy called Terry. Terry is an older gentleman, Mark's a younger guy. They seem to have a real banter all the time. There's a real family feel. The pool of people going there is insane. It's about 2,500 people. I don't know how many people around, but it is crazy. So the 100 starts on a Friday night at 6 p.m. and the streets are lined with the 50 people who have camped in there. There's a massive amount of camping spaces, and actually my husband and I, we opted this time to just go into a little car park on the side, literally just a couple of minutes away. Although you get within your entry, you could camp. I just felt that I don't know, because maybe we're kind of from a little bit, we don't know anybody there basically. So I felt if we'd end up going on a field, maybe we'll get stuck with the car. Everybody seems to have these fancy vans and four-wheel drives and stuff like that. So it was a bit of a kind of a little bit of fear, I suppose, for us to not get stuck. So I'd prefer to pay for a car park and actually get a tarmacked space. And also I think they lock the car park, and it might be good for one more space that instead of us using it, someone else can go and spread their wonderful yawning and whatever. So that's what we did. And basically on a Friday the hundreds go, the streets are absolutely bonkers, so many people. It was a bit like you're a rock star. And obviously once the 100 goes running into the night, the following day the coaches will pick up the 50s first thing in the morning. So by between 11:30 and 12:15, I think, sort of in waves, the 50s go from the halfway point. It's not strictly half, I think it's about yeah, it's a halfway domain. But what happens for the 50s, they do a little loop around this domain country estate, which I remember from last year being very, very humid. And again, mega busy, just crazy. It's like running UTMB or something. Whilst the 100 are actually coming into it, and I think it's for us is about 65 miles, and we have this tent where we can obviously get the only time we have access to our drop bags. And again, no crewing allowed, no pacing, but potentially the 50 turns to be your pacer if so you choose. One of the lovely people, Mike Churchyard, he was saying, please adopt 100 if you are a 50, because it's so true. You know, you do really need that other human, I suppose, to keep you going when the going is hard. For me, sadly, or not so sadly actually, by the time I got to Domain, all the 50 had gone. So I carried on my own, and that's perfectly fine. I'm very happy on my own. So what else to say about the race? Yeah, the cutoff really, if you're 100, you need to finish the race at 10 o'clock sharp. So everybody starts at 6. It's not like you cross the line at 10 past 6 or 5 or 3 minutes past 6 or whatever. Everybody starts at 6 o'clock. Everybody has to finish by 10. For the 50 is obviously depends on when they've crossed the start line, and so everybody trickles, so you never know where you are in the race, I suppose, if you are looking to particular time or anything like that. But everybody gets done more or less by lunchtime on a Sunday, and then I think at 2 o'clock is presentation time. We didn't stay for presentation time, but I know it is a proper party, and the way only that guy, those guys can do. They are extremely fun and joyous people, and yeah, if I was living there somewhere close by, I probably will be one of those people who get a slate for doing it 5 times successfully if you're doing the 100. They always have a whole lot of I don't know, they seems to want to capture a person's story. There was a lady who had a brain tumor, and she was doing the 50. I actually passed the 50 at some point, and this lady was genuinely quite old, really old. Just when you see someone who is very kind of not just of an advanced age, but just old. So I thought, well, good on her. If she can do that at this age, perhaps I can too at some point of my life. So I think the event is for me an absolute 10 out of 10. There's so much going on. There's such good banter and there's such a good atmosphere. There's such a good feeling. People go crazy for the themes of it. This year's theme was, of course, a country. The whole sort of buckle thing. Normally they have a medal. This year it was a buckle, which I am extremely grateful for because I love a buckle. Yeah, I don't want a medal. And in fact, people have t-shirts from all these years that they have done. I mean, I loved being a part of the Facebook group. Just great support, any question you have. Yeah, lots of fun. It's fantastic. So I feel like I've gotten to know a lot of people, even if they, I suppose, don't know that. Anyway, a little bit about my own experience, and I'm just going to refer to the places because I'm not entirely sure what they're called. So, anyway, we started at Coniston, and the first leg is Coniston to Seathwaite, and I have to say, I mean, I put a video beforehand. I think for me, I knew it's going to be hard. I knew also there's more chance that I will fail than succeed. So I did not have any big plans or hopes or anything. All I was thinking is hang in there. And if I do 30, 40 miles, very happy to be here. And, if I'm going to DNF anywhere, then might as well DNF on this majestic mountain. And yeah, I was running grateful. So this first leg is 11K with 700 meters of elevation, pretty punchy. And I must say, everybody legged it. I found myself, even though I was kind of to the front of the pack, I puffed and puffed up the hill very early on. I was a bit like, oh God, this is hard. However, a lot of people passed me, and I actually just quite loved seeing how much the whole thing means to people. I really am fascinated by how people push through pain, through discomfort. I'm a little bit more philosophical about things. I kind of feel pain in my body, but it's kind of, this just hurts, so that's okay. Oh, I'm just going up a hill, my heart is racing. Or, I just sort of make these little statements, which I suppose is through yoga. But I kind of let go of it as well. I don't get too hang about, what's great and what's joyous. The fact that I have completed this means nothing really, to be honest. My dog still needs walking. My children still, ask what's for dinner. And I don't think my husband is going to leave me if I have been DNFing or anything like that, so it doesn't matter. So what I'm saying is that that very start, I did actually spend a little bit of kind of people watching, I suppose, but very quickly put my head down. And what I found is that as we were going to the downhill, I've always loved the downhill and I've always been good at it. And I suppose having these really good shoes where even though the rock was very wet and slippery, my shoes, honestly, they were just amazing. I felt very confident in my feet, and I think the gear, and just I felt like I could run. I don't know. And I sort of caught up with quite a lot of people. Basically, going up the hill, people were passing me by, and I assume it's because however much I hill train, locals, that is what they know. So they go fast. And also a lot of them are really, really good. I'm just very average, so but going downhill I am good. So I just blasted it down, and I was really enjoying it, to be honest. And so I thought, oh, this is not too bad. And of course, between Seathwaite and Booth is another 11.5K, a little bit less cheeky on the hill, but still, I mean, there's a lot of bog. You start to sort of feel the water is just soaking into your skin. And by that stage it was dry as well. So it kind of became a little bit of a battle, and you think, gosh, I've done less than half marathon and I'm absolutely knackered. How am I going to do the rest of it? But the good thing about this is, like I said, I've put my head down. I was very focused. And the other thing that I sort of started, I suppose, to connect with, without sounding very la-di-da, is actually just nature and the land. I sort of, maybe because I grew up on the mountain, I have this real connection to places, and I found myself a little bit of meditative as well. So as I was going further into places that are perhaps more desolate and kind of gnarly and just technical, I suppose, I didn't look at it as something that scares me. It's more like I sort of molded into the mountain. I don't know how to say it, but I felt like I'm friends. Although I'm trespassing this place, I'm also kind of there with love. I'm there to bring good vibes and love. And I sort of think it set me mentally really well, because again, even though I knew it's hard and my body was telling me it's hard, I was red in the face and just sweated and God knows what, I did actually feel happy. So I carried on running. And then that section between Booth and Westdale is a shorter section. You have massive sections of, like I said, the good old combo between you're going up a very gnarly hill, then it starts to rain, then it's jungle like hot, then it's rain some more, the rain then turns totally kind of biblical, then it turns into hail, and the hail is just smashing in your face, and then within seconds the clouds part and it's sunshine again, but it's so brief that by the time you literally think, oh, I'm going to take my coat off, it's the wind, and the wind is just insane. I have never never experienced mad weather like that, and all of this is in the space of 3 minutes, literally every weather front. And the wind is so mad. You could see people holding to the bracken, just literally unable to stand up. And I don't know, I just tapped into, again, I'm going to refer to yoga. Obviously, this is what I do every day. I've been teaching for 20 odd years now. And I don't know, whenever we stand on a mat, the first thing we do is we ground in our feet. And I suppose I know how to stand my ground. I know how to stand upright regardless. Now, I'm not suggesting that the wind's not going to blow me, because it will. Mother Nature's, fantastically strong. But at the same time, again, I just molded to it. I never actually fought the weather. It's so interesting, isn't it? I never kind of felt like I'm fighting the elements. It was more like, I'm a part of this, and I belong here. Kind of, I am trespassing, and I'm respectful for this. But this is also where there was a give and take relationship with this bit of nature. I don't know how to describe it, but it was really good. And so I kind of never minded the rain, even though it was so horrible. The wind was just beyond me. Yeah. So, Wasdale to Buttermere was this Black Sail Pass stuff. That was very, very tricky section, and it just went on and on and on and on and on. The amount of climbing is, I don't know, I just really wiped out. And these are the places where you think, okay, well, maybe by now I would have done, I don't know, nearly a marathon. In fact, there is a marathon. So I thought, okay, on the back of my little card with all my stats, I suppose, from where I need to be to where, the route statistics and the checkpoint times and all the rest of it. I had a little card that husband had prepared for me. And on the back of it, I had, he had written for me, change sock, or start charging your watch, or start charging your head torch, or put this on, or da-da-da. It had like a brief instructions on what to do when, which is great. And actually, that really helped as well, because I didn't have to think, I just had to do it. And when you have this very quick problem solving thing, you have time. you all of a sudden have time. I mean, not that you do have much time, but yeah, that's so the first time I changed socks was then, and very, very happy that I did change socks, because where it's been raining so much, never mind the rain and the mud. I mean, there was a section which is super muddy, but the problem is some of the aid stations, they're indoors, which is fine-ish. Most of the aid stations are outdoor. They're literally a gazebo, and when you go in, there's nowhere to sit to then change your socks. So I had to do some of these off the aid station on the trail. And some of the aid stations where you go in, obviously they do hot food and the food's great and everything, but there's so many people because everybody's trying to shelter from the rain. And it's this situation where you sit on a chair, on your left someone's eating I don't know, rice pudding, and you're changing your socks pretty much in their face because it's so crowded. Someone else is pulling their blisters and trying to cream their feet. Someone else is vomiting on the side. I mean, it's just carnage. It really is carnage around these places. So, yeah, in fact, I think it was Bartimere, maybe? No. Blencathra. So on that aid station, I ended up basically sitting on a chair, leaving my poles, and I thought, oh, I haven't been to the toilet for a while. Actually, I'm going to use the loos here. And I put my poles on the side, and I said to this woman who was part of their volunteering team, I said, don't let me walk out without my poles. I went to the loo, came back, and I just left. And she just went by us. Thank you very much for looking after us. And then she just went by. I ended up running down the hill, steep downhill for about a mile, only to figure out my poles are there. Initially, I was very pissed off at this woman. But the truth of the matter, it's not her fault. It's me. So what did I do is I ended up climbing back up, which was annoying and damn right hard. But I will never do this mistake again. And also, it's funny, really, people think you're quitting because you're going back to the aid station. So they're all like, oh, you okay? And I'm like, sure. So I had to run right fast again to catch up with everybody. So that kind of kicked me a little bit. But again, I never really lost sight of what's important, which is I get to do this. This is, it's not going to kill me. This is hard, but this is also what I've trained for. I've done all the hard work, I've done all the preparation, and I've also gave myself a lot of grace. I just didn't got really upset or hanged up about anything. So going to Delmain, eventually I got to see my husband there. He's not allowed to crew or pace, but luckily it was dry. So on a way to there, believe it or not, one of my lovely friends, Ian, he moved there, I think last year. He moved to Cumbria, and I knew he's somewhere, but I just didn't know he would appear just on the trail. So we ended up just meeting like that. I was so glad to see him. It truly made my day. So we just had a little nutter for a few minutes and a quick hug, and off I went. So in Domain, when I saw my husband, it was quite nice because I was able to. So he's sitting on one side of the chair, and then I'm sitting on by my bag, obviously doing my admin and sorting myself out. And eventually, I just said to him, "I think I need to have a kip. I'm actually quite tired. The night before, I didn't sleep very well at all, so it was a matter of, get some sleep." And I did get, literally, I closed my eyes, but it was too noisy, and I sort of knew I'm going to get cold, I think. So there was a part of me that wasn't in a deep sleep as such. So I was just sort of napping halfway. However, carried on from Dalmain to, where are we going now? Dalmain to Howtown. And then obviously the 50s have gone. So you're starting to catch up the strugglers of the 50s. And, again, that section to Docray, you have a horrible section, which is a massive, massive bog. And then once you get out of the bog, you have this undulated road called the Old Coach Road. It is disgusting. Less elevation, still undulated. It's just so rocky, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. There's just no break. And then actually, because you're so tired, you start to sort of zonk out to one side. So a lot of people walk it instead of running it, because even though there's less elevation, you kind of beat, I suppose. So I think at that point I started doing more walking than I would like to, but I was able to sort of trot here and there and catch up. So stats wise, if you look at the splits that I did, I was still moving really well. So obviously my husband and the people who are watching, they're thinking, oh yeah, she's doing really well. But what I actually did is a lot more walking. And then when I was running, almost like an interval running, and I was like, go quickly. So that kind of worked. And Mardell Head was brilliant. This is the first time where I felt like I needed something warm. And I asked the lady, I said, do you happen to have any soup? And she gave me, she says, oh yeah, we have this mushroom soup. I genuinely loved it so much. I thought that was the best soup in my life. In my life. So had another one, then fill up for some more. Then I had a sandwich. Then I started going up the hill, fill up for some more. Come back. I must have had about 3 bits of soup. I just loved it. And there's a lady who I ran a while back with, Olivia. So I met her there, although she was quite fast before me, from the start on. That was the time where I caught up with her. And so we ran for just a few minutes, unfortunately, and sort of got up the hill. But then I want to go really, really fast. I think she felt a bit unwell with just food, comes up very quickly if you are struggling with the digestive system issues, and it's very normal in ultra running, of course. So anyway, did that and carried on. Really enjoyed the descents. That's one thing I would take away like a gift from this whole event. Just loved running downhill. The technical bit, the more technical the better. Loved it. And eventually ended up going to Kensmere again, change socks, Ambleside, Chapelstyle, Tilbury, Coniston, back to camp. That last bit from Tilbury to Coniston was dream. I have seen that in my brain for so long. I had this full visualization over the past, I suppose, a year, where I could run this bit so well, so strong, and that is exactly what happened. I am extremely grateful for my human body that it was on top form. I don't know how. I suppose when you train, I wasn't surprised that I finished towards the end. I wasn't surprised, but before that, I pretty much ran grateful. I wasn't surprised to finish because not only that I finished in really good time, but I mean, Andrew was, my husband was constantly sort of like, this is too slow, this is too this is too that, because he's worried that I'm going to, miss the cutoffs. And a lot of people do, literally 2-3 minutes. It's so annoying. But actually, I finished it like an hour and a half before the cutoff of 40 hours. So 38 hours, whatever I finished, 40 minutes, maybe, an hour and 20 minutes inside cutoff. So that's very respectable. I'm super proud of myself for navigating everything right, and managing to plan well enough for all eventualities, but also knowing that you can never plan for everything. Mentally, I was in a really good place. I was never down in the gutter. I was never up either. I was just grateful. And also, I think looking back at it, the only thing I would say is I'm just proud of myself. I don't know. It's just most of the time I would give credit to the people around me, because with ultra running you need that support. If it's not for my husband who will crew me, or for my friend who pays me, or for volunteer, or for whilst on this event, I would say I did everything myself. So I kind of I managed. I could easily say I thank me because I did this. It's a bizarre thing. I think the last time, if I ever felt like that, would be when I gave birth to my child. And I kind of went, yeah. So all in all, fantastic experience. I would definitely would love to do it again. It's just that there's too many really nice events and lots of fantastic opportunities out there. So I don't know whether I'm going to put my name down, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. And may I just say, if you ever think even twice about doing Lakeland 100, do it. Do it, do it, do it, do it. Even if you think you are unfit, not good enough, or whatever it might be, just do it because you can, and I'm a perfect example of that. So it's given me a lot of confidence, and yeah, just extremely grateful to be able to do this. Who knows the body, how long it's going to hold up for, how long your brain will have the time, the energy for adventures. And so yeah, just definitely highly recommend it. I will stew a little bit more in my own wonderful sort of post Lakeland 100 feelings. I probably will get my buckle framed. I probably will wear this t-shirt to death. But whatever it is, it has been genuinely a most incredible experience. And yeah, all the hard things are worth doing. Thank you so much for watching.